first. Behind the back. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
All right, welcome to Terrific Talk. I'm Tom Anderson. Thank you for listening to the podcast here on the CLNS Media Network. The doldrums of summer are coming to an end. That means Steve Howland and I are back. It's football time. We've got you covered this NFL season. If you've got fantasy football questions, we want you to send them in. We'll answer all your questions then here right on this podcast week to week. You can email us at terrifictalkpodcast@gmail.com. If you're wondering whether you should pick somebody up on the waiver wire, if you should start or sit a certain player, we got you covered. Send in all your fantasy football questions, terrifictalkpodcast@gmail.com. We'll also be picking games against the spread all season like we always do. If you want to know if the Raiders will cover the spread week 1 against the Broncos, hit us up. Send us any questions you have. Or hey, you just want to give Steve shit about his Eagles? No problem with me. Email us, terrifictalkpodcast@gmail.com. Steve, how can people get in touch with us?
The email address, everyone, terrifictalkpodcast@gmail.com. And it will be terrific.
Steve, let's get right into it, all right? We're back.
We're back.
Let's get the people what they want. Let's give them some fantasy football standouts this season. We're going to go through a couple of different positions, say who we think is really going to stand out. I'm going to start here at quarterback. I'm going with Matty Ice, Matt Ryan.
So you're saying the standout based on performance. I know that we were talking maybe breakout, so I was going to give you a little grief and say how can we give a former MVP as a breakout performer. But I'm with you now. Standout, I can see Matty Ice coming alive. They've ever since that epic collapse, probably the most notable collapse in NFL history. Yeah, the Falcons team just hasn't played at the caliber that they were playing that 2016 season. I don't even remember what year that was.
They let us down big time last year because we were so kind of on them, and they just did not show up. They kind of retooled the offensive line, which I think is going to be so key for Matt Ryan. I think Julio Jones is going to have another big bounce back season. Matt Ryan last year, through all the struggles, top 3 in passing and passing touchdowns last year. So yeah,
he can sling it. That there's no denying that. He's got to have help from Devontae Freeman. I think him going out last year definitely, one, forced him to throw more, but also made them one-dimensional. So they've got to keep the balance. The NFC South will be an interesting division this year. So it's gonna lead to some fun, high-scoring games. Those having several games played on indoors in turf, ideal conditions. There'll be some points put up.
Steve, I think we got to tell the audience real quick, just so for reference, they know I've won the last 4 fantasy football championships.
That's back to back to back to back.
What's up, Solly? Hope you're listening.
There's no games played here, so I'm leaning for a QB to have a good breakout. I'm thinking breakout year, superb year. I'm thinking Jimmy G. I think he's healthy. Yeah, I think he's gonna do some things. They've done a lot in the offseason to just kind of reshape that team. I tried to get him late in my fantasy draft. I got outbid for him, and when I only had the budget to auction $1 per pick, so someone trumped me for $2. Kind of pathetic, but I think he's gonna. He showed flashes. I think he's gonna hopefully stay healthy and put in a good performance this year.
I think that division is going to be pretty good outside of the Cardinals. I mean, I think San Francisco, I think they can compete for the playoffs. I think it's, right now, Rams favorite. Seattle is going to be good again this year. But I think the Niners are going to be right on the fringe. And Jimmy G could get it going. He definitely showed signs, like you mentioned. Obviously, coming off the ACL injury, you don't know. Bit of a shaky preseason. But you're living out in California now. You only go with Cali guys. I
yeah. Well, I didn't want to go with the home. I don't want to go with the home, dude. I mean, obviously, you would have given me grief if everything I put here was all birds. So I tried to think outside of the box a little.
I appreciate it. Moving on to running back, somebody who I think is going to have a huge fantasy football season, Dalvin Cook of the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota has made it clear that they want to emphasize the run with your boy Kirk Cousins. He catches passes in the backfield. He's had a lot of issues, injury history in the past, but I think Dalvin Cook is poised to have a huge season. And I think the Vikings, kind of like the Falcons, going into last year, we thought the Vikings would be pretty good, and they kind of stunk the bed. Kirk Cousins did not have a great first year with them. I think Minnesota is going to right the ship a little bit this year. I think people are sleeping on them. I think Minnesota is going to be good. Dalvin Cook just ran off an 85-yard touchdown I watched in the preseason. I'm excited. He's got breakaway speed. Dalvin Cook is my guy. Huge running back this year.
That's a good pick. They're going to need him because if you're going to rely on Kirk Cousins to get it done, clearly we know from his Redskins days and his just meltdown of a second half of the year last year that he's not your guy. His guaranteed $84 million. We laughed about that from the beginning, and so they need to stay again multidimensional to compete. And I mean they have the defense to do it. They've got the fans to do it. They have that home field advantage up there in Minnesota. So I can see him having a big year. Now I'm going to stay in that division, and I'm going to give you a running back that I think needs to have a strong year. We'll see how it plays out, but I think Aaron Jones needs to get it going for the Packers to try to get one more for Aaron Rodgers before his window closes, because with all these young guns coming up, obviously he's still crazy dynamic as the captain of the ship, and he can manufacture wins on his own, but I think he just needs a little help. And I think Aaron Jones, I think this is a year for him to kind of put up or shut up. If he doesn't perform this year, I think they probably are going to be looking to just kind of start fresh. New offensive coordinator, he may be looking to make his marks, and maybe he's going to try to get him involved a little bit more. Or new head coach, I should say, calling plays. So I think he's poised to have a big year.
I think it's a good pick, and I think the Packers are a team that people also are kind of almost sleeping on a little bit. Like, we're forgetting how good Aaron Rodgers can be, and it's a good position for Jones because Rodgers is going to be slinging it. He seems to be finally healthy here. A lot of red zone opportunities for Jones, a lot of touchdown opportunities. I like that pick as well. Wide receiver. I got to go with the guy who I had on my fantasy team last year. He broke out last year. I think he's going to continue to keep it going. My boy Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju.
Of the brand new Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. That Pittsburgh has a team?
Apparently. A lot of people left, but Juju, Big Ben, still there. And I'll tell you what I loved at. Juju was so solid for me the entire year. Just so consistent. And at the end of the season, he got banged up while Antonio Brown sitting out games. He says, you know what, I got a lot of people who have me on their fantasy team. I'm playing. I want to do this for those guys. He earned extreme loyalty from Terrific, to say the least. Helped me win another Super Bowl. I got Juju in a premier number one wide receiver role this year, breaking out even more. Juju Smith-Schuster, go get him.
We all know that Ben slings it, and with AB gone, how many targets he was averaging 110 plus targets a year. So, those targets they're gonna go to James Conner. They're gonna go to the tight end. I'm blanking on his name right now, Vance McDonald. But primarily, they're gonna go to Juju. So he's gonna be the focus. He's gonna be receiving the attention of the number one cornerback, but I think learning under AB is going to pay dividends. I think he's going to have a big year as well. I actually stayed in the division on this one too.
Wow.
And I went with someone who I actually drafted on my fantasy team. So part of this is just me hoping that it was a good draft by me. But it's also knowing that his counterpart and the bigger name is a little banged up, and that's Tyler Boyd for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
We know that Andy Dalton, the red rifle, likes to sling it. AJ Green's a little banged up. He got banged up at the end of last year. You wonder if he's getting a little old, and they're going to need. Yeah, and I know he's hurt right now. So I know he's going to start the year probably clearly less than 100%, and I wonder if Andy's going to have to lean a little bit more on my man Tyler Boyd. So hoping that was a good pick, and I think he's going to come through. He showed glimpses at the end of last year, and I know that because I had AJ Green, and he was killing me because he was getting all the love, and AJ Green wasn't putting up any points for me. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But I think Tyler Boyd, I think he's ready to roll. And I tried to, with all these, I tried to go and as did you, just like not the main five, right? Because clearly we know that James Conner is going to kill it. Clearly we know that Saquon's going to kill it. Todd Gurley's going to kill it. Like all these guys are going to get there. We got to find those guys that, maybe we're going rounds 2, 3, 4 in the draft.
Not everyone can be as godlike as Saquon Barkley. You're right.
He's on my team.
You're welcome, baby. Let's go.
I know. I hated myself for doing it, but I just couldn't help myself.
You're a Giant fan. All right, 10 minutes into this podcast, should we do our Super Bowl pick? I think we should.
Yeah.
Who you got?
So, obviously bias here, but I've got the feel good story. I've got the old ball coach versus his young protege.
No.
I've got the two athletic, dynamic young quarterbacks going mano a mano. I've got two strong, solid defenses duking it out. If you don't know, now you know. Birds, Chiefs. Let's go.
Birds, Chiefs. So you're that confident, and the Wentz completes the comeback this year.
Yeah, 100%. I feel good about Carson. I wanted to again draft him on my fantasy team. I was saying how I tried to get Jimmy G late, but my focus going in was to try to get Carson, but I just kind of got a little greedy with the other position players early, so I didn't have the budget for it. But I think he's going to return to that MVP type form that he was in.
I do too.
Through 13 games of 2017, yeah. So
I think Wentz is going to have a great year. Again,
more weapons.
Everyone forgets, one season kind of changes everyone's mind view. We're all kind of in that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
2 years ago, Carson Wentz was the MVP of the league.
Yeah. He had the most throwing touchdowns in the league in 2017, and he missed the last 3 games of the year.
There you go. As much as painful as that is to say, I think Wentz is going to have a big year. I respect the Eagles. I think they're going to win the division. I think they should be the favorite. I know a lot of people love Dallas, but I'm still a fan of Philly for sure. My Super Bowl pick, Steve, we're right on the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
They got so close last year. D4 doesn't step over that line. That was a game at home.
Yeah, it was.
That's Patrick Mahomes, another year under his belt. Why would he not keep this thing going? I think he's going to have another monster season. They're probably going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. I think Mahomes, another MVP kind of year. I like the Chiefs coming out of the AFC. But again, when we get around to playoff time and they're going up against Brady, I don't know if I can make the same mistake.
What's our rule? Brady in the playoffs.
Never go against Brady in the playoffs. That's the rule. But in the NFC, I've really gone back and forth on this one. I'm going with the Saints.
Okay. Redemption tour?
That is my thinking. You can either go one of two ways here with teams who have devastating losses like the one the Saints had against the Rams last year with the horrible pass interference call, all of it. And the year before, you forget about Minnesota and how insane that was.
Stephon Diggs, yeah.
Stephon Diggs to the house. Yeah. They've had two of the worst losses that I can remember a football team experiencing. Really impressed how they bounced back last year against Minnesota. I think that's a good sign. You still have Breeze, who has just been tearing it up over the years. I saw I think it was the NFL Network was ranking the best players in the league, and they had Breeze at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Felt a little high to me, but
felt a little high. That feels high, but he's consistent. He's proven that he can get it done.
But yeah, so the Saints, I think, are gonna come back strong. It reminds me of when the Pats lost to you guys, the Eagles, in the Super Bowl. That was a tough one. They came back. I remember the Spurs after the Ray Allen shot. There's history here of teams surviving these absolutely horrible losses and just being completely locked in. Falcons, not mentioning them.
I just don't know if I can trust the NFC South because let's think about this. The last few years, I know that the Saints did bounce back after that bad loss to Minnesota. But you've got the Carolina Panthers who are 15-1, got their doors blown off in the Super Bowl. They haven't been the same since. You've got the Atlanta Falcons who had that just already noted epic collapse. They haven't been the same since. I wonder if the NFC South just isn't meant to get it done.
If it hasn't gotten it done in the past, I think they get back though. We'll see.
Time for what I think is going to be everybody's favorite part of the podcast. Thumbs up, thumbs down. We're each going to give our thumbs up to what we liked in sports this week and our thumbs down to what we did not like. Steve, I'm going to let you go first. I know you want to go negative. You're a negative type guy. What's your thumbs down?
So, I think of summertime. I think, one sport is baseball. The other sport I think is golf. Saturdays, Sundays, watching rounds 3 and 4 of any said tournament. And there was a big tournament this past week in the Tour Championship. Last year, it was kind of the beginning of the comeback for Tiger. He had an amazing win. This year, he's not even there. The FedEx points, I get it. I get how that's set up. But don't you think for the Tour Championship that a defending champion should just get an automatic buy into the tournament? I didn't watch a lick of it, and I would have if Tiger was in it. And I guarantee that the head guys, the executives of the Tour Championship were bummed that Tiger wasn't in it because that rating probably suffered tremendously. But I think that's my thumbs down right now.
And
just
Tiger,
a little bitter that he wasn't a part of it.
It's honestly been ever since the Masters, kind of definitely a thumbs down. We were all about the Tiger comeback here, and it's been a little bit of a letdown. And I think he banged up his knee. I think he might have had arthroscopic surgery. So Tiger, get better. We need you back. We were pumped. It was such a great 6 months.
Yeah,
return to form.
But come on, some of these major tournaments. Think about who's bringing you ratings. Think about, I know it's maybe the Tiger exemption, Tiger rule, but get him playing. I know that he could be here too, but I don't know. Just didn't sit well with me. Now my thumbs up is just NFL's back. Let's be real. It's party time. Baseball has been a big letdown for me. I've been on to football now for a few weeks, so time to rock and roll.
I'm sorry that baseball's been a letdown.
Ugh. And I mean, the thing is, we're still in the playoff hunt, but it's just not. It's been so brutal.
Well, you touched on my thumbs down because I gotta give it to my New York Metropolitans. They stuck me back in. This team has been incredible. So many crazy ninth inning, extra inning wins. My boy Pete Alonso, 42 home runs as a rookie, Met record.
Net record, man. Impressive.
It's okay. I sense some sarcasm there. I'm gonna let that slide. But 4 straight losses, got swept by the Braves. First game out against the Cubs, who we need to beat to get that wild card spot. A loss. All these games have been coming at home. A little devastating. Thumbs down to the Mets.
Yeah, we've got about 30 games left. Both teams are in the hunt for that second wild card spot. Well, technically either wild card spot because we're only a few games back at the Nats.
Yep.
It'll be interesting coming down the stretch. The one thing at the start of the year, obviously, it was super high on Bryce, and he's come through with some awesome plays and, walk-off grand slam. It was a titanic shot, but it's kind of the pitching, man. You had a guy like Dallas Keuchel sitting out there for so long, and the Phils had holes at the pitching spot and just, no move towards getting him, and who does he sign with? The Braves, and the Braves are rolling. And it's just kind of if we're gonna go in with a $330 whatever million contract for Bryce Harper, might as well just go all in, right?
Yeah, you would think. Too bad. Sorry, man.
Too bad.
My thumbs up, though, on a happier note. The Shaq-Kobe rivalry is back.
Oh, it's back, baby.
Let's go. Kobe just coming out and saying,
spitting flames.
I would have won 12 rings if Shaq just got in shape. Love the trash talk. Shaq immediately responds, I would have won 12 rings if Kobe passed the ball.
Oh, I didn't see that part, but that's a great response.
Shaq got him back, so I love it. I've missed Kobe and Shaq in my life. It was a great time. I love the dysfunction. I love two of the best trash talkers out there. Insanely competitive. I love Kobe, Shaq are back.
This fake friendship was kind of frustrating. It was kind of like, they were just trying to make nice and like sure up. I don't know, maybe sure up their legacies. Like not that either of them had to worry about getting voted into the Hall of Fame. Like they're first ballot Hall of Famers, each of them. Shaq's already in, but it's just like, let's get back to what we know you for. You guys are you're two alphas, and alphas don't mix well. There's nothing wrong with that.
I love it.
All right, our last segment here on Terrific Talk. Steve and I love to watch TV. You know this, right? So we're here with some TV recommendations. Steve, a new father, by the way. We got to congratulate him here on the podcast. Steve, congratulations. I know you're at home. You're watching a lot of TV recently. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm just very happy right now that we have a somewhat calm, silent child. He's staring at a light, so that seems to it's keeping any type of tears or wails at bay. So luckily you guys haven't heard him during this podcast. You'll hear him in future ones, I'm sure.
Favorite TV show right now? What are you watching?
You referenced me being a Cali boy now. I found this show on Amazon Prime. We did briefly speak about it, but we haven't come out on the air with it. Show Bosch. It's an LAPD detective. It kind of gives me a glimpse, because I'm living just outside of LA, I'm feeling immersed in it. You know what I mean? So that's a show that I'm big into right now. It's on Amazon Prime.
I've been trying to get her to watch Bosch for like 3 years now.
Oh, it's a great show. Aaron and I have been through 2 seasons, and I think there's 5. So, we also have some random Netflix shows that we've watched. She's watching like this one, like Girlfriend's Guide to Something, which is actually kind of funny. I've like caught 1 or 2 episodes of it while she's watching it. But Bosch is a great one.
I got a good one for you.
Yeah, what do you got for me?
This is a gem. Like we were talking about the fantasy breakouts that not everyone's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I found you a gem that I hope you can maybe watch online. It's on the world famous Paramount Network.
Paramount Network, okay.
Yep. The Paramount Network has a hit on its hands. The show is called Yellowstone.
Yellowstone,
dude.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Oh, I hope that you and the entire podcast world out there can find this show, because it's very well done. It's starring none other than Kevin Costner.
Wow.
Yeah, big get. Kevin Costner, he's kind of the patriarch of this. It's like a powerful, super dysfunctional family of ranchers, and set in Montana. It's got corruption. It's got murder. It's an amazing show. I'm into it. I'm completely.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah, and there's corn all over the place. He's having a match with Indians. It's amazing. Not the Cleveland Indians, different kind.
Yeah, different kind of Indians. Native Americans.
It is a big recommendation from me. Go check out Yellowstone, Steve.
I'll see if I can find it. I'm sure at some point it'll get put up on some of these one of these streaming services. So I'll have to do a little research.
I got one other for you. Mindhunter, season 2. Netflix.
Oh, we haven't started it, but yeah, we'll be there. Quick before we go, out of left field news on Saturday of our boy Andrew Luck and the Colts.
I honestly when I first saw it, I was completely shocked. I was like, oh my God, this is humongous. Mm-hmm. And then just the reaction to it just drove me up the wall. I can't stand it. Everyone's saying the exact same thing. The whole group thing. He's, football players are people too. All that crap. Like, everyone freaking relax. Calm down.
Yeah.
Fans booed him. Oh my God, the horror. Should they have booed him? Maybe not, but can't you understand their frustration?
I get that. I get that reaction from them. They were at a preseason game. He was on the sideline. They found out during the game that he was retiring. That's a very raw thing to be exposed to. Like, talk about ripping off the Band-Aid, right?
Talk about human. That's like a human reaction.
Yeah. Now, I wouldn't have booed him. I went up and looked. I pulled up his Wikipedia page the other day. He just got married back in March. He and his wife announced that they're having their first kid They made the announcement in June. If he wants to be happy and healthy, he's already made $100 million and spend time with his daughter. Or son, whatever he's having. Don't know if he's having a son or daughter. Good on him. I was reading an article earlier today about Gronk where he said after the Super Bowl he slept for 5 minutes because he was in so much pain. And over the course of the next 3 or 4 weeks, he maybe slept about 20 minutes a night because he was in so much pain, and because he had internal bleeding in his leg. And over those 4 weeks, he had 1,000 milliliters of blood drained out of his leg. This is a violent sport, and if someone doesn't want to put their body through that anymore, I've got no problem with that.
Of course, and this is part of a trend I think we're starting to see where I think players might start retiring earlier.
Big time.
Than in the past. Because there's more information now and just the amount of damage.
Big time.
The money is there now, so you don't really need to stick around long. I think, remember last year when that guy just quit? He just retired on the Bills, at halftime?
Yeah, at halftime it was great. We just had a field day with Liebner and the dumpster fire Bills. Had to get it in. But we had the 49ers linebacker 2 years ago that retired after at the age of 24, 20.
And remember how outraged people were at that? People were having heart attacks. How could this guy retire in the prime of his career?
Yeah.
Maybe waking up. He's upset.
Yeah, he's a little upset. You can hear him. He knows he's mad at people for having that reaction towards Andrew Luck.
Yeah, it's not fair. He's a Luck fan. Stanford, Cali.
Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing, too. Andrew Luck is a Stanford grad with an engineering degree. He doesn't need the NFL to have a successful life,
All this being said, do you think there's a decent chance he takes a year or two off and then comes back?
Yeah, I would.
I think there's a good chance.
I would be more surprised if he stayed retired than if not, if that makes sense.
When you're that good of a player and you put in that much time to become good, he's got to have a little burn to come back, I think. Once he gets away from all this, heals up a little bit. Again, he might not want to put his body through this anymore. He's had so many injuries. And by the way, the Colts should take a lot of the blame on that one for just drafting and putting such a crappy offensive line around him all these years. That's how he racked up all the injuries. He's been sacked 1 million times. Dash is not happy.
Yeah, he's not happy. I'm going to have to jump. But, I've said this before. There were times when I was younger that I would always be pissed with the Eagles drafting a lineman. But then we went to 4 straight NFC championships, and it's there is value in having these big, massive individuals guard your quarterback and make lanes for your running back, and it keeps everyone healthy, and it allows for extended runs. So, yeah, Andrew Luck just got beat to hell, pummeled too much. And I'm happy he's walking away. And guess what? He's going to get paid to be – I don't know if he actually could be a commentator. I think he's just too robotic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got a weird voice.
Maybe – but he'll be fine. He'll enjoy his life.
He's going to go home and watch Yellowstone. And it's all good.
He's going to watch Yellowstone. He's actually going to star in the next season of Yellowstone.
He actually would be a really good bad guy in Yellowstone.
I bet.
All right, Steve. Good job by you. Go take care of your baby. And week.
Dash's first vocal or first noise is getting out into the world. First podcast performance. He did okay until the final 3 minutes. So,
guys, if you want to hear more from Dash, email us at terrifictalkpodcast@gmail.com.
All right, bro. Fly Eagles fly, baby.
Kobe.
Welcome to Terrific Talk. My name is Tom Anderson. Tom Anderson.
Back to win back again. Gone. Back, gone. Tom
Anderson.
Great cash, homie. Great cash, homie.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
I feel ready to go another 9 innings.
Touchdown.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Down goes Frazier.
Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the hose.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it. Back.